Hey guys, what's up? It's Donald. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Excuse me. So today is going to be a very tough topic. It's going to be talking about mental health. May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month, and so I'm going to be talking about everything that I have to deal with as somebody who struggles with mental illness, and excuse me, and some of the things that have caused my mental illness to get worse and cause other issues. And so, if that's something that is going to bother you, then go ahead and click off this video. This is going to be the trigger warning that I give you guys, so you know ahead of time that it's going to be something that's very emotional and it's going to touch on a lot of tough things. And the reason that I'm open about everything that I struggle with is because I know that there are so many people out there who struggle with mental illness. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of people who reach out to me because of the videos I make about my mental health, because they feel so alone in their own life and they don't have anybody that they can actually talk to who understands what they're going through. Going through mental illness without support is extremely lonely, and it's something that I even deal with. So I'm going to show you the medications that I'm taking right now and tell you what they're for. And it didn't used to be this many. It's just, like I said, over the years, it's gotten worse, and so we've had to add more meds. And so first thing I'm going to show you guys, this is my antidepressant. I take 80 milligrams of Prozac a day, so it's 2 pills. They're orange and green, so I have 2 of those a day. So I take it in the morning when I eat breakfast, if I eat. And this is something that I've been put on recently, and I was put on it because I have suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideations, and that's something that I struggle with severely. I don't know if you're going to be able to even see this, but my arms and my wrists are covered in scars from years of self-harm, self-mutilation, and it's not just my arms, it's all over my body. And that's something I started doing as a teenager to cope with trauma that I was going through. That was when I was a teenager. That's when I experienced my sexual assault and then also domestic violence, and so that was one of the ways that I dealt with it. But this medication is called lithium. And what lithium is supposed to do is help you pull away from those thoughts and keep your mind from wanting to go to the suicidal ideations, the wanting to self-harm. That's what that medication is supposed to help with. And I have noticed a difference with it. Do I still struggle with it? Absolutely I do. But it's a lot better than it was. And I'm on a lower dose, which for me is good, because that means if I continue to struggle or get worse, they can always up the dose and see how that goes. The only thing that you have to be careful of, which my psychiatrist told me, is that you can get something called, I think it's lithium toxicity or lithium poisoning, where the medication builds up in your blood and it can become toxic and you can get really sick and you can die from it. So it is a wonderful medication, but it does have a really scary side effect, and so every couple months, I have to go get my blood drawn so they can see what my levels are to make sure that I'm not having poisoning or toxicity or anything like that. And then the next one that I take this medication 3 times a day, so morning, afternoon, and at night. And there's 6 pills there because I wanted to show you the actual amount. And this is gabapentin. And gabapentin is a wonderful medication for people who suffer with pain. Like when I had my first child, the anesthesiologist hit my spinal cord twice, and he damaged the lower part of my back. And normally what happens is your back muscles are supposed to be able to relax and tense, relax and tense. And the issue that I have with my back, since it's damaged, is my lower back is in a constant state of tension. And so I have to do physical therapy every morning to stretch out my back muscles. And then sometimes at night I have to do it then too. Whenever we get a thunderstorm, a snowstorm, my back is in horrendous pain. I also suffer with fibromyalgia, and so the gabapentin helps in that area too, because that's also really painful. And so the gabapentin helps keep the swelling in my joints down, and makes the pain a lot better to tolerate than not being on the medication and having to deal with it alone. And then the next one that I'll show you is, which might surprise some of you, but might not, is Adderall. And I know you're probably thinking, why the heck would you need Adderall? Adderall is for people who, have ADHD or something along those lines. I have absolutely no energy at all. In order for me to actually get up and function and do something that a normal person would do and be able to have the energy to do, I have to take this 2 to 3 times a day just so I can be a functioning person. I don't like being on this medication. I actually hate being on this medication. I've tried going off this medication and going on other ones and trying other natural things, but I was never able to get the energy that I needed. And one of the reasons that I don't have energy is because my mental health has taken such a toll on me physically. It's like having a full-time job in a sense. Like, my brain is constantly on the go, and what happens is you start to get worn out and your body starts to give out and shut down, and that's what's happening with me. My body is to a point now where it's constantly having to fight to just make it day to day, that without this I don't do anything. And it's really sad, but that's my reality, is I have to take it, because if I don't take it, then it's like a double-edged sword. And I'm gonna get into my nighttime meds. And first one is going to be Lunesta. So I take 1 Lunesta, and this helps me fall asleep. I did try Ambien before Lunesta, and that sucker was a mind fuck. if you've ever heard of people like sleepwalking or eating or doing really batshit crazy stuff on Ambien, yeah, it happens. It happened to me, and I had no idea. My husband had like he has tons of videos of me when they first put me on it, and I was like walking straight into walls, like, and it didn't even faze me that I walked into a wall. And then I would start talking about stuff that did not make sense. I was talking to imaginary things, and so Lunesta is completely opposite. I go to sleep and I stay asleep, and I don't have any of those crazy issues. So if you're looking for a sleep medication like Ambien that works, I highly recommend Lunesta. And then the next one, let's see, where did it go? The nighttime pills are the ones that are the smallest and the hardest to find. So, this medication is called Clonidine, and that's what it looks like. They're two very, very small little tablets. And I suffer, because I have PTSD from my sexual assault and my domestic violence and physical abuse I suffered. I have night terrors. And I have constant panic attacks at night. And what the Clonidine does is it helps me be able to get more sleep before waking up in a panic. It's supposed to help prevent the night terrors or make them not as severe, and I've definitely noticed that with me. That's another thing the psychiatrist put me on, and it's another medication that I think works really, really well, especially if you have PTSD or night terrors or anything like that. It might be a really great medication for you. And then the last one that I have in here, this is called mirtazapine, and that's the last nighttime med that I take. And what the mirtazapine does is it helps my body helps me stay asleep. And what I mean by that is my brain is constantly going. It's like a hamster in a wheel, and it's constantly doing that. And excuse me. Sorry guys, I'm still getting over COVID. Excuse me. But the mirtazapine helps me be able to shut my brain off and shut it down long enough to sleep. Because not sleeping and having night terrors and trying to function is a disaster. And I know that because I've been through so many medications over the years that I had no idea that that's why I wasn't sleeping, and that's why I couldn't sleep, and that's why, my night terrors would wake me up and I couldn't go back to sleep. The mirtazapine helps shut down my brain, so it keeps my brain from getting to a point where I have the night terrors. And the Clonidine helps with the night terrors. So the mirtazapine and the Clonidine work really, really well together in making sure that I get a decent amount of sleep. I get anywhere between 4 to 6 hours of sleep a night, and I know that sounds like barely anything to people, but you have to understand that having all of the mental things that I have going on in my head, that's actually a significant amount of sleep for me to be able to have. I only used to be able to sleep 2 or 3 hours, sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes not at all. It it was really, really rough. And you know, one of the other things too that's been really important that's not medication is therapy. I see a cognitive behavioral therapist every week, and then I see a psychiatrist once a month, and then I see my regular doctor every 2 weeks. That way, we make sure my medications are still working, that I'm not having any relapses. If I am having relapses, we look into, okay, what's going on? What do you think is triggering you to have these relapses? And so it's like taking care of me mentally is a full-time fucking job. And the thing, I think, I didn't want to cry, but I'm going to. The thing that's hardest for me is my husband, the person who I should be able to count on and have the support from while I'm struggling with all this. He doesn't understand that it's not an easy fix, that just because I'm in therapy and that I'm on medication and I'm working with doctors, that he doesn't understand why I'm not better. And it just adds to the feeling of feeling like a burden. Feeling I'm useless. And I've asked my doctor and, my psychiatrist and my therapist to give me information to give to him so he can look at it and understand. And he tells me that they're just making excuses for me to not do better. So I just don't even talk to him about anything anymore. Because he's always so negative to me. The heartbreak of not hearing him say, I'm proud of you for taking care of yourself. I'm proud of you for trying. In a sense, that's the hardest part. Because no matter how I explain it to him, he'll always say, I'm making excuses to be in this situation that I'm in. I didn't ask for any of this to happen. And I can't even begin to talk about how it's affected my life. It first started with the depression when I was a teenager, like most people do. And it went from I was going through depression, and then I got sexually assaulted, And then my mom remarried she married a monster who was a narcissist, and he beat the living shit out of me. And that made the depression get worse. And it made me go into wanting to commit suicide, which I tried 3 times as a teenager. And then when I reached out for help, I mean, a lot of you know I'm an ex-Mormon, and the way that they teach you is if you have a problem, you go to the bishop and he's supposed to help you. I was abandoned and told I was a spoiled teenager who wasn't used to having a dad. I went to that man 3 times. Second time I went to him, he pulled my stepdad in after I went to him. And that night, my stepdad dragged me out of my bed and he beat me so bad, he broke 6 of my ribs. And he forced me to sleep outside. The rest of the time he was married to my mom, which was like 6 months. And no matter how many, and he knows that. He knows that. He knows that happened to me. He knows that I had to suffer through it. The only reason that I started dating my husband was because I was getting abused at home by my stepdad. And that takes a toll on me mentally. Because he knows that. He knows everything that I suffered through. He gets mad at me for saying I'm leaving the Mormon church because this happened to me. And he says you need to stop blaming the church for what happened to you. The church is the one who let me down. The person who was supposed to be a representative of Christ and be compassionate and help me made me feel useless, like I was nothing. And I still carry that. I still feel that to this day. I still internalize, you're nothing. You're nothing. You weren't then, you're not now. As a result of everything that I went through as a child, a teenager, the way my brain works is different than a normal person. And a lot of people who suffer with mental illness, that's what happens. Your brain starts to process and work through things differently. So, what was my price? What is the price I paid for stuff I never asked to happen to me? I struggled for years after all of this. And in the summer of 2020, I actually ended up in a mental hospital because I tried to commit suicide. Because at that time, I was going through so many different medications, I was going through different therapies, and nothing was working, and I didn't feel like my life was worth living anymore because I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't feel happiness. All I felt was I am so unhappy with my life. I can't keep going. And finally, after being admitted to the mental hospital and being there for a week, and seeing psychiatrists, psychologists, and a bunch of different doctors who specialize in different things, this is what I found out. This is the price. This is the prize that I won. Borderline personality disorder. What does that mean? It means that I have to be in therapy the rest of my life. It's a condition that can't be cured with medication or treated. The only way to treat it is with therapy. And if you stop going to therapy, then you can regress, and it can make everything else you're going through even worse. PTSD from the assault and from the abuse. It went from me having regular depression to being diagnosed with someone who has severe depression. I also have horrific anxiety. And one of the things that sucks about the anxiety is when I get triggered. For example, I have to carry headphones with me everywhere because my stepdad was a musician, and if I hear a song that he used to play or that he used to sing, it triggers me. My anxiety goes through the roof, so I have to have headphones with me. The anxiety is so bad. I've had issues with my stomach. It got so bad that I lost 80 pounds in 3 months. And it's because of that, and because of how bad it's fluctuated. My metabolism doesn't work properly anymore. So a lot of the medications I take, they all have a side effect of weight gain. And so I gain weight no matter, I can diet, I can exercise, and I gain weight. And it's really discouraging for me. And then along with the anxiety come the panic attacks, and then the insomnia, the night terrors, the suicidal ideations that always seem to continually get worse. Sometimes I feel like I'm fighting a losing battle. And I think another reason why I feel so strongly about taking care of my mental health is because two years ago, my grandpa, he committed suicide. He shot himself in the heart, and he died. And when we found out he died, he had left a note for my mom. And in that note, he said he had been suffering with depression and PTSD and anxiety for so many years. And he kept going to doctor after doctor after doctor and kept taking medication after medication after medication and going to therapy. And it wasn't helping him. And he couldn't take it anymore, so he killed himself. And I relate to feeling that way. I relate to feeling that way a lot. So many people who have depression and suffer with suicidal thoughts feel like they're burdens. I feel like I'm a burden. I feel like I'm a burden because I want to be better, and I'm still struggling. And I'm so grateful that I have, my family, not my husband, but my actual family. Like, my mom and my siblings are super supportive. Because they have their own issues. And so we can actually talk about things, and I don't have to worry about being ignored or being judged or being told that I'm being dramatic or that I need to get over what's going on in my head, because that's so easy to do, right? It is so easy to just, you know what? I can do it. I'm gonna be fine. If only it was that easy. And that's one of the hardest things about mental illness, is the judgment that comes with it. And the people that you want to understand what you're going through, and you want to share how you're feeling and how what you're going through is affecting you, and they don't want to hear it. They don't care, because they're tired of it, because it's gone on for so long. What they fail to realize is they don't have to live it. We do. We're the ones who have to live with everything that's going on up here, in here. We're the ones who are paying the price, not the other people. One thing that I've been working on doing, and I said it earlier in the video, is being open about my struggles and everything that I have to do to take care of myself. And it is hard as hell. But I want to make sure that I'm a good mom to my kids. If I didn't have my kids, I would have done what my grandpa did. And so I'm thankful that I have my kids, because they've kept me in the place of wanting to better myself and keep myself good for them. And then sharing my story gives validity to all the other people out there who are suffering in silence, who don't have friends they can talk to, they don't have family they can talk to.
I want them to feel solace in knowing that if they have a problem, talk to me. I want to be here for you to help you get to a place where it's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to have the feelings you do. It's okay to struggle. We all struggle. And we need to build each other up and not tear each other down, because that just it's I'm tired of being torn down. I love helping people. And as horrible as my life has been, and all of this shit that I've had to deal with that I never asked to happen to me, I hope that my story and my struggles can resonate with people and help them. And I just want to be able to help people. And I feel that because I've lost so much, helping other people is something that I find joy in, because I know that's one less person who's suffering alone. I want to be able to turn the things that have really devastated my life into something that I can use to make a positive impact and by not editing out my crying, by being honest about how I'm feeling, what I'm struggling, and the things that I'm having to do. My hope is that it will help somebody. If I can help just one person, then that's amazing. I helped somebody. And I don't think, unless you've been through something or are struggling, it can be hard to not like with my husband not being able to understand why I can't just get over it and move on. Like, I was halfway through school for the career that I wanted to go into, which was law, before I had my first severe mental breakdown. And after talking with my therapists, they said with the severity of everything that I have, there's about an 85% chance that I'll never be able to go back to school and finish, and I'll never be able to work. And the reason that I'll never be able to work is because the anxiety being so severe, and then also my triggers, because I don't know what all of my triggers are. It would end up in me having a panic attack or an anxiety attack at work and then having to leave, and it would be more detrimental to me mentally, and it would cause me to regress. And that's something that really crushed me, because I didn't want to accept that I was that broken. Now I am better than I was a year ago, than I was 2 years ago. I'm slowly getting better. But that's because I've taken the time to take the medications, do the therapy, and then, let myself feel the emotions. That's one thing that I think is really key that people don't know, and that's something that I'd like to share that I've learned in therapy that my therapist tells me is whenever you feel an emotion, whether it's you're happy or you're upset and you need to cry, do it. Just let yourself feel that emotion. Your body has those emotions and it reacts that way for a reason. And society teaches us that when we break down and we cry or something happens to us and we do it publicly, that it makes us look weak. But it's not weakness. It's just people who are uneducated and don't understand. And you just need to feel your emotions. And you know what? If you gotta cry, then go cry. There's times where I have just gone in my bedroom and I've sat on my closet floor and cried for a good 2 or 3 hours, and then I'm okay for the rest of the day. And that's all part of trying to recover what I've lost and trying to not reprogram my brain, but teach it the emotions and everything that are important, and that having emotions and expressing that is okay. That it's okay and that it's normal and that it's healthy, and that people should do it more often. And that's why since I've really gotten a handle for the most part on things, I love to be of service to other people. One of the biggest joys that I have in life is making somebody smile, making somebody laugh, or doing something nice for somebody else and not expecting a damn thing in return. I'm doing it because I like helping people. That's just who I am as a person. I like to help people. And so I've really tried my best to treat people the way I would want to be treated. Even if somebody says something really hurtful to me or is really insensitive and rude to me, I will still be kind to them. I will still pray for them. And, I think it's also humbled me in a sense, because for the longest time, I would always say, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. So, don't ask me to do anything. Don't ask me, because I'm a victim. And yeah, it's okay to say that you're a victim, and that for me, I'm a victim of the circumstances that I had to go through as a teenager. But that's not an excuse to not try or to stop trying. And so every day I push myself to try and do better and be better than I was the day before. And changing that mindset from being something that's stuck in a negative place to try and focusing on one positive thing a day. I have a journal upstairs, and what I do is every single day before I go to bed, I'll write down one thing that I'm grateful for that happened that day. So today, my thing will be, I made a video and was open about my struggles, and I hope it helps someone. That'll be something positive that I can think about and write about and focus on, rather than, focusing on, am I ever going to get better? Am I always going to be this way? Am I always going to be judged by people? Instead of focusing on the negative, I try and focus on one positive. And then whenever I have a reoccurring negative thought that I can't process or find out where it's coming from, I write that down, and I take it to my therapist, and I tell her, you know what, this is something that I've been thinking about that's reoccurring, and I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know why it's triggering me, but I want to find out why so I can deal with it and stop having to let it control me. And I've noticed since I've done that, I've been a lot happier, and I've been a lot more positive, because I'm finally starting to let positivity back into my life, and letting myself feel the emotions opens up the ability to bring in new emotions. So by releasing those negative emotions, those negative feelings, it opens you up to absorb something that's positive and start replacing those negative, bad issues, thoughts, whatever's going on, with something that's better. And you'll find that you'll be happier. I can promise you that. That's something that I've personally seen and am thankful for. But I'm gonna go ahead and end my video here. Thank you everybody for watching, and I hope that you guys will remember that mental health is something that's really important, and to take care of it, because if you don't take care of it, it can lead to more problems in the long run and cause other issues that are harder to fix, or that will be lifelong. And just know that if you ever feel alone and you need somebody to talk to, please reach out to me. I have no problem talking with anybody. I keep all of my conversations confidential. The only time that I would ever let somebody know something is if somebody reached out to me and told me that they were suicidal and they needed help. I would reach out at that point, but other than that, I would never share a conversation. Just have a good rest of your day, evening, night, wherever it is for you guys. I'm gonna upload this, and if you guys want more content like this, of me breaking down and talking about, my shit show of my mental health, I'm all for it. But in the meantime, thanks you guys. You're all awesome, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you, and I will talk to you guys soon.